Shocking biblical truth revealed, the hidden conflict between Iran and Israel unfolds. Few knew what truly happened that night. The air was thick with tension. The moon hung, a watchful eye over Jerusalem, casting shadows that whispered secrets of ancient times. Dark thoughts lingered as men gathered in hushed tones. The weight of history pressed down on them. Across the desert, in a land longing for peace, echoes of betrayal and ancient prophecies stirred. In those moments, a figure loomed amidst the flickering torches, his face obscured. Was he a messenger from God or a harbinger of doom? Around him, the people trembled. They sensed the gravity of the moment. The great city of Jerusalem, a cradle of faith for countless souls, stood at the brink. The stories told of battles fought and the blood shed. Was this the beginning of another chapter in a bloody saga? History held its breath, waiting. The spiritual fervor danced in the air, igniting hearts and minds. But just like the flickering flames, the path ahead was uncertain. What would be the fate of Israel? The shadows stirred, revealing a complex web of alliances and enmities. Lines drawn in ancient sands threatened to rear their heads again, pulling at the fragile threads of coexistence. Miracles had unfolded here, yet dilemmas lingered. Faith battled fear. Hope clashed with despair. Could God still intervene in a world where hatred ran deep? The impossible questions hung in the air like thick fog. Voices trembled as they whispered of the warrior king from ages past. Had he forsaken them? Sudden silence fell, achingly quiet. Then, a shout pierced the stillness. The tension snapped like a taut bowstring, hearts racing as eyes widened. In the distance, something shimmered, an omen, a sign. What would follow this unexpected stir? Every heartbeat felt like thunder now. The cliffhanger of destiny loomed large, begging for resolution. Would they rise together or be torn apart by forces unseen? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. In the stillness that followed the shout, the figure amidst the torches stepped forward, revealing a visage etched with the weight of ages. His eyes, like deep wells, held anguish and wisdom intertwined. He opened his mouth to speak, yet the crowd leaned in, mouths agape, as breaths caught in throats. Behold, he proclaimed, his voice resonating with the authority of the ancient prophets. The times have come when the hearts of men will be tested. A darkness stirs, and shadows speak of choices yet to be made. Nations have turned against one another, forgetting the sacred covenants etched in the annals of time. A murmur rippled through the gathering, an echo of unease that stirred the soil beneath their feet. The history of their people, woven with promise and peril, bore witness to the fate that lay ahead. Were they not the descendants of the ones who wandered the wilderness, who turned away from golden idols, and who journeyed toward a land promised to them by God Himself? Each story told of trials that would shape the heart of their destiny, yet here they stood on the threshold of yet another crucible. Do not falter, for the Master of the universe observes, the figure continued, but know this: the heart divided is the strongest weapon of the adversary. While conflict and ambition drive men to discord, the essence of hope lies in unity, one heart, one purpose. Remember the words, where there is unity, there is strength. His eyes roamed the crowd, searching for those whose spirits still burned with belief. Yet beware, he cautioned, the enemy lurks, cloaked in whispers of doubt. He who sows division shall find himself cast out, for this land, our land, is sowed not with hatred but with the seeds of future generations. As the murmuring subsided, one member of the crowd, a woman with a countenance worn by years of witnessing struggle, stepped forward. But can we trust one another again? She called out, her voice fraught with the despair of a people fractured. How can hearts once hardened be softened anew? Is there a way back to the love written within our sacred texts? The figure paused, his gaze unwavering, as the stars danced above like affirming witnesses to their plight. In every heart lies a spark, my sister. Seek the divine in one another, nurture the relationships that have withered under the weight of grief and mistrust. For it is only by stepping into the shoes of another that we may heal. But dark clouds drew ever nearer on the horizon, shadows creeping into the light their spirit had kindled. The question lingered there, unasked yet palpable: would they embrace the challenge of atonement, or would they remain trapped in cycles of fear? A wave of uncertainty began to swell in the crowd, igniting flickers of hope yet tempered by the harsh realities they faced. The night deepened as hands draped in righteousness hesitated, contemplating the path ahead. Each question dangled tantalizingly before their minds. Who would take the first step to bridge the divide? Could their faith in one another be reborn amid such tumult? As whispers of prophecy clashed with the roaring winds of change, a thought drifted through their minds like a ghost haunting the silence: could the price of peace demand more than they were willing to pay? The crowd stood ensnared in a web of uncertainty, yearning for clarity but fearing the depths of revelation. Murmurs flowed like a treacherous river, tearing at the edges of resolve. As the figure remained a steadfast sentinel before them, the night wore on, heavy with the weight of their collective history. "Gather close," he urged, his voice a gentle echo amid the rising winds. "For the story that unfolds is not ours alone, it weaves through the tapestry of countless lives, each thread vital to the health of the whole. We must delve into the heart of our forefathers' trust and wrestle with the shadows cast by our doubts." As they drew near, the figure's presence radiated an unearthly calm, soothing restless spirits. In the realm of divine mysteries, every soul harbors a struggle. It is in the valleys of despair that we often find the greatest lessons. Think of our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, who faced trials that would eclipse their immediate understanding, yet in their persistence, they laid foundations for the future. Are we not called to carry that same legacy? A man with a furrowed brow, burdened by unanswered questions, stepped forth. But do their stories hold the wisdom we need today? Can we truly replicate their faithfulness in the face of a seemingly indifferent world? The figure's eyes sparkled, reflecting the flickering flame surrounding them. Ah, but therein lies the crux. The faith of our forebears is not merely a tale of yore, it gives birth to grace in every new generation. Each struggle they faced mirrors our own. If we wish to find answers, we must unearth the authentic truth hidden in every encounter of discord and grace. Their journey, filled with both light and shadow, reveals that even in the depths of division, the hand of the Almighty is guiding us forward. A young woman, trembling yet resolute, voiced the uncertainty buried within her heart. Yet what if our paths diverge irrevocably? How can we reclaim trust when the scars of betrayal run so deep? The figure regarded her with understanding, as if discerning the anguish etched upon her soul. You ask a profound question. Trust is not a commodity traded lightly, it is forged in the crucible of vulnerability and honesty. Remember this: the act of rebuilding trust is as sacred as initial faith. It is an invitation to reveal our truest selves, flaws and all. You must be willing to embrace the discomfort of facing one another as you are, fully human. They wrestled with the implications of his words. The enormity of the call to vulnerability seemed like a lofty mountaintop against the backdrop of their struggles. A realization settled heavily within the gathering, a cacophony of hopes and fears spinning through the air. Could they bear the weight of each other's histories, reconciling sorrow with longing for renewal? The figure lifted his arms, inviting their contemplation. Do not fear the hidden roads ahead, even those shrouded in darkness can lead to revelation. Each step taken toward one another, each whisper of forgiveness granted, may very well illuminate the path to peace. But this requires a bold commitment, a choice to transcend the legacies of division that threaten to suffocate hope. A sudden hush cloaked the assembly, the enormity of choice hanging in the night air. Each heart pulsed with the silent queries: Were they prepared to uncover the unseen depths of trust that bound and yet divided them? As dawn approached on the horizon, golden threads of light began to stitch together the fragments of their fears, but would it be enough to reach across the chasms that lay between them? With a lingering uncertainty, a question emerged yet unspoken: what were they willing to sacrifice in the pursuit of unity, and could the cost of healing be greater than they had ever imagined? As dawn's first light washed over the crowd, illuminating the weary faces marked by the night's turmoil, the figure remained with them, a constant source of both comfort and challenge. The sky transformed into a canvas of pastel colors, merging shades of gold and lavender, reminiscent of the hope that dangled in the air, elusive yet tantalizing. "Do you see?" the figure said, casting his gaze upward, as if pulling their attention towards the heavens. "Light breaks forth from darkness, yet it is only through the night that we have gathered together. This very assembly is not by chance, it is divinely orchestrated. The old barriers, built on past hurts and grudges, can crumble before the dawn of new understanding." With those words, the crowd momentarily held their breaths, caught in the balance between what they knew and what they felt may come. The air was thick with a mixture of anticipation and hesitancy, as individuals began to consider their own fraught connections, relationships that mirrored the broader conflicts of the world beyond their gathering. A voice rose from the back, steady yet tinged with reluctance. "What if we fail? What if our attempts at unity lead only to more division? The history of our people tells tales of betrayal not just from without, but from within. How do we trust that the season of reckoning can birth anything new?" The figure turned slightly, as if to absorb the weight of those words. "Ah, but we must remember, creation itself often emerges from chaos. Think of the creation story, the formless void gave way to life. It is our duty to believe that even amidst our fragmentation, a deeper purpose intertwines each of our stories. You fear failure, but recognize that failure when learned from can give rise to unforeseen wisdom." As he spoke, the crowd began to resonate with his message. They looked around at one another, beginning to see not just faces marked by their wounds, but reflections of their shared humanity. Yet, beneath the surface of emerging hope, doubts continued to bubble, unrelenting in their quest for acknowledgement. A woman, clasping a child in her embrace, raised her voice with a quiet urgency. "And how do we incorporate those who stand apart from us? The ones we have marginalized, the ones we've been taught to forget? Is it enough to merely enact change among ourselves, or must we also extend our hands to those we consider enemies?" The figure's expression grew solemn, infused with understanding. In the sacred text, we find the call to love even our enemies. This radical love is a cornerstone of our faith. Reaching across divides is an invitation to embrace the complexity of our human experience. Every narrative holds a measure of truth, even those we wish to dismiss. Who knows, perhaps in understanding those we deem other, we may discover that their stories bind us together in ways we have not yet conceived. The crowd stirred, a murmur of realization creeping in. The very walls that they had built to keep others out were also trapping them in. Yet the task felt Herculean. Could they muster the courage to stretch their hearts and souls beyond the confines of familiarity? And what of forgiveness? An elder chimed in, his voice raspy with age and sorrow. Can we truly forgive the wounds inflicted upon us? Is there enough grace within us to cover the gaping chasms left by betrayal? The figure met his gaze with unwavering compassion. Forgiveness is indeed a sacrificial love. It may feel like a break, a leap into unknown waters. It is not an easy path, but it is revolutionary. Through forgiveness, we reclaim our narrative, one that is not rooted in bitterness but rather in hope and renewal. This sacred act has the power to transform not only the relationships you hold dear but also the cultural fabric of your communities. As the sun ascended higher in the sky, the light grew more intense, a reflection of the urgency in their hearts. The figure's words hung heavy in the air, pulses of sacred truth growing brighter as the day unfolded. Yet, amidst the warmth of emergent hope lingered a consuming question, unaddressed: would they dare to challenge the narratives that had long held them captive, knowing that the journey toward reconciliation demanded more than their voices, it demanded their very spirits? As the sun continued its ascent, casting golden rays upon the gathering, the figure paused, sensing a shift in the atmosphere. The initial flicker of hope now battled with the weight of uncertainty, igniting an undercurrent of urgency that pulsed through the crowd. "Friends," he began again, his voice steady yet infused with the gravity of the moment. "Consider the stories woven into the very fabric of our existence. Each thread tells a tale of struggle and triumph, pain and redemption. We are not merely individuals, we are a tapestry of divine design, created for purpose beyond our understanding. Yet, this tapestry is frayed at the seams." A murmur swept through the assembly, hearts racing as they grappled with his metaphor. The figure beckoned them to visualize a loom where their lives intertwined, where each encounter, each conflict, and each moment of grace contributed to a larger masterpiece. But let us not forget every creation faces resistance. The loom may invite tension, threads may tangle. He paused, allowing the weight of his words to sink deeply into their minds. There is a sacred call to navigate these tensions. The conflict we perceive in the world reflects the turmoil within ourselves. Can we not begin to see that in every disagreement lies the opportunity for deeper understanding? The crowd shifted, contemplating their own conflicts both personal and communal. As they gazed into one another's eyes, a deeper truth began to emerge. It was not merely the enemies they fought, it was the divisions birthed from the fear of vulnerability. "In your own histories," he continued, "have you not been sculpted by struggle? Has the pain not carved paths within you, teaching resilience and empathy? Look around, your neighbor's struggle mirrors your own, despite the narratives that seek to separate you. Their burdens are but reflections of yours, waiting for understanding and compassion to bridge the divide." A younger man, visibly restless, raised his hand trembling with emotion. "But what if our stories are forever marred by hurt? What if forgiveness feels like a distant echo in a valley of despair? Can we truly find beauty in these wounds?" The figure regarded the young man intently. "Ah, but listen closely. Wounds possess a paradox of their own. They can breed anger, certainly, yet, within them lies the innate potential for healing. The divine promise is not that we will be free from hurt but that our pain can forge spaces for grace and connection. It is through sharing our vulnerabilities, the very things that shame us, that we invite unity into brokenness." As the crowd absorbed his message, a woman stepped forward, her voice breaking the tension. "And when we gather strength to forgive, what then? If we are to reach for one another, what if the very act of reconciliation feels too daunting, too profound?" "It is in the pulse of community," the figure responded, his voice a soft yet firm anchor amidst their fears. "You are not alone in this struggle. Each hand you extend creates ripples beyond what you can see. Your courage can inspire others to do the same. Together, you can reshape the narrative. Yet I implore you to remember, even small gestures of love can become monumental shifts when gathered in unity." The morning air thickened with newfound understanding, yet questions loomed. Had they truly shifted the energy within them, or were they still confined within the echo chambers of skepticism and self-doubt? The figure stood before them, a beacon in their uncertainty, but a flicker of realization began to take root. As they grappled with their unfolding stories, a lingering thought remained unaddressed, swirling in the tension of the moment. In choosing to navigate the unseen chasms between them, would they dare to construct a story of reconciliation that transcended their past, allowing their shared humanity to guide them toward an uncharted future? As the gathering dispersed, the air filled with a charged silence, broken only by the sounds of distant footsteps. The figure remained, rooted in place, allowing the weight of the moment to settle upon him. He sensed that their reflections were only beginning to unfurl, the spiritual echoes of their struggles reverberating in the sacred ground beneath them. Slowly, the crowd filtered away, their faces etched with a mix of contemplation and hope. A few lingered, their expressions betraying an inner turmoil that could not be easily expressed in words. They drew closer to the figure, sensing that his presence held more than mere comfort. It beckoned them toward a deeper revelation. Among those who lingered was the younger man, emboldened by the remnants of their earlier dialogue. What if our attempts at reconciliation are futile? He asked, eyes searching the figure's face for truth. If history has taught us anything, it's that cycles of conflict seem endless. How can we break free? The figure glanced upward, tracing the trajectory of a cloud as it moved across the sun, casting fleeting shadows upon the earth. A wise leader once said, "The smallest seed can grow into the tallest tree." Each of you, in your hearts, holds the potential for change. Understand that the story of humanity is woven with threads of discord and unity alike. In every age, individuals have faced ignominy and yet pressed forward, becoming the agents of transformation. Another voice arose from the group, a woman with tear-streaked cheeks. But what of the weight of betrayal? How do we hold the scars of our past without letting them dictate our future? My heart is heavy, and I fear it may never heal. Dear sister, the journey toward healing often begins in the very messiness of our wounds, he replied gently. The scars do not define your worth, they are markers of a journey endured. Every time you choose to love despite betrayal, a new path is paved. You hold within you a divine seed of creation. Trust that it is nourished in the soil of vulnerability and grows stronger in the light of community. Yet, within this dialogue wove the sound of doubt, a whispering wind that carried uncertainty. The young man interjected, now commanding the group's attention, but what if others choose to remain divided? What if they reject our offerings of peace? Will we just be left standing alone, our hands outstretched to an empty void? The figure paused, contemplating the question. In a world of division, the choice to reach forth, to initiate love, remains a noble pursuit. Remember, my friends, even if rejection comes, every act of kindness plants seeds that may one day yield fruit. The ripples of your compassion reach beyond visible boundaries. The strength of your spirit does not wane with recalcitrance, rather, it shines brighter as you stand firm in truth, even amidst resistance. As twilight began to descend, the group remained with the figure, hearts racing with unresolved tensions. Each person wrestled with the complexity of their own narratives, the weight of the collective history they bore. Just then, a sudden gust of wind stirred the air, carrying the scent of earth and dew, as if nature herself was breathing life into their shared contemplation. The figure raised his hand, inviting them to look beyond themselves. In this place, in this moment, can you feel the power of possibility? The narratives of restoration are waiting to be written, yet they require brave hearts willing to confront the unknown. What connects you all is the singular desire for a future molded by love and understanding. The group nodded, feeling their spirits flicker in response to his words. Yet within them, the questions remained unresolved, brewing within the silence like a storm cloud on the horizon, waiting to be released. As they pondered the potential of their collective journey, a profound thought emerged. If forgiveness could serve as the catalyst for a more profound unity, would they dare to embrace the discomfort of vulnerability in order to rewrite the destiny of their shared humanity? As the twilight deepened and shadows danced upon the sacred ground, the figure sensed a stirring in the hearts of those gathered, a shift that beckoned further exploration. The air was charged not only with questions but also with resolute curiosity, an unquenchable thirst for understanding and deeper truths. In the stillness, a man with furrowed brows stepped forward, his voice heavy with doubt. How are we to know that this path toward unity is more than just an illusion? History speaks of cycles unbroken, and our mere attempts feel like whispers against a raging storm. What assurance can we hold when the hands of time seem insistent on division? The figure regarded him closely, the depths of his eyes reflecting ancient wisdom. You speak of assurance, yet it lies not in certainty but in faith, the faith to try anew each day, even when evidence seems impossibly distant. Remember, the journey to the promised land was fraught with peril and disbelief, yet it was those who chose to believe in the unseen who ultimately crossed the threshold. Suddenly, a young woman, her voice trembling with passion, interjected, "But that faith demands a price. Our families have been torn apart, our lands desecrated. What would you have us sacrifice in pursuit of a peace that feels so elusive? The wounds run too deep." The figure nodded, recognizing the depth of her pain. Indeed, sacrifice is often the unspoken demand of love. To love requires that we walk toward the flame, even when the heat is unbearable. Yet what choice lies before you? To remain in the shadows of resentment or to cultivate courage in the face of adversity? The opportunity to embrace peace is a sacred one, yet it requires not only the courage of individuals but the collective will of a community. Just then, as if summoned by an unseen force, the ground beneath them began to shimmer with an ethereal light. The figure paused, allowing the moment to absorb its weight of mystery. There are those among you who feel a stirring within, a call toward something transformative. This moment, my friends, stands as a crossroads. Look not merely to the past that haunts, but to the possibilities unfurling before you. Sometimes it is the unseen threads of destiny that weave the most intricate tapestries of connection. Silence enveloped them, each person grappling with the juxtaposition of their haunting past and a hopeful future. An older man, with gentle wisdom etched into the lines of his face, finally spoke. If we dare to venture into reconciliation, what if the past reclaims a hold over us, forcefully tearing apart the delicate strands we seek to weave anew? The figure exhaled softly, drawing them into a deeper place of understanding. Then you will learn that even in the face of violence, love does not permit the past to dictate the present. Every choice made with love is a seed sown into the soil of the future, capable of yielding unexpected bounties. The past, while inescapable, does not need to be the arbiter of your future. As twilight faded into night, stars began to reveal themselves in the expansive heavens above, glimmers of hope piercing the shadows that clung close. The gathering felt a sense of unity begin to flicker among them, yet uncertainty lingered, the tension between the familiarity of fear and the allure of the unknown. As they contemplated this unsettling but potent notion, a question hung over them like a constellation awaiting interpretation. If embracing the unknown invited vulnerability, would they be brave enough to dance with uncertainty in pursuit of a love strong enough to heal their collective wounds? The stars twinkled with a soft brilliance as the gathering held their collective breath, the weight of the moment wrapping around them like a warm embrace. Yet, beneath that warmth, an undercurrent of unease pulsed. Each individual found themselves wrestling with the implications of the figure's words, pondering the sacrifices that true reconciliation might demand. In the distance, a low rumble of thunder echoed, a reminder of the tempests that had long swept through their hearts. The figures present could not help but feel the gravity of their circumstances pressing heavily against their chests, yet amidst the uncertainty, a flicker of determination ignited within some. Among them, a boy, barely old enough to comprehend the vastness of his surroundings, spoke with an innocence that cut through the deepening gloom. What is it that we must seek, if not peace? If our forebears spoke of ancient wars, have we not the right to dream of something brighter? His youthful voice pierced the tension, offering a glimmer of hope. The figure smiled gently, eyes reflecting the brilliance of the heavens above. Ah, dear child, you speak of dreams. Yet, dreams are fragile seeds worthy, yet dependent on nurture. They require a fertile heart willing to engage in the hard work of compassion and understanding. You must ask yourselves, can a heart scarred by bitterness foster the dreams of a united tomorrow? A ripple of agreement rustled through the crowd, yet skeptics remained. A woman with weary eyes, burdened with sorrow, chimed in, but our scars are not just in our hearts, they are also etched upon the land. How do we mend that which has been torn apart by blood? What if the dream was whispered only to be shattered by reality? Her voice trembled, the anguish of generations echoing within her question. The figure turned to her, empathy woven into every crease of his face. To mend the land, beloved, one must first tend to the roots within. Justice and love will always dance together, and while the path to restoration is arduous, it begins with the silent commitments made by each of you. Your land remembers the steps of your ancestors, each act can become a footprint of healing if guided by love. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the gathering, carrying with it whispered tales of ancient glory and despair, stirring feelings long buried. In that moment, another voice emerged, an elder with a steadfast demeanor, renowned for his long-held beliefs. But what will our enemies understand of our struggles? In seeking a hand to hold for reconciliation, What if we are met with a fist ready to strike again? As shadows lengthened, echoes of doubt loomed larger still. The figure considered the elder's words, the weight of history hanging heavily in the air. The hearts of your enemies are often matched by the hearts of your allies. The choice of whom you invite into trust can sway the tides of hostility. It is within your grasp to seek not only understanding but to extend it, to walk the brittle path of vulnerability first, and invite others to follow. The crowd remained silent, each person reflecting on the tangled nature of their realities. The night sky, vast and unending, seemed to stretch before them, an invitation to dream beyond their bounds. The flickering stars reminded them that even amidst challenges, beauty existed, waiting patiently to be revealed. As they stood bathed in the soft glow of starlight, a question lingered, weaving itself between their hearts and minds. In the tapestry of our lives, are we brave enough to unravel the threads of enmity and weave a new design of understanding, or will we allow the dark fabric of the past to dictate our future? As the question hung in the air, pregnant with the weight of possibility and fear, a hush enveloped the gathering. The stars, distant yet determined, became witnesses to the inner battles waged in each heart. The figure, sensing the turmoil, took a step forward, drawing the crowd closer in the faded glow of night. You wrestle with the shadows of conflict, he began, his voice steady like the unyielding march of time, yet within each of you lies a history not only of pain but also of resilience. Have you not faced storms before? Each time, the rains have washed away remnants of despair, leaving room for new growth. He paused, allowing the wisdom of his words to settle. Beneath the veil of uncertainty, he could see flickers of resolve igniting within the faces before him. History is an old tree, its branches thick with both fruit and thorn. Yet, the seed remains potent, waiting for the right conditions to flourish. What if this moment is your seedling, a chance to cultivate a transformative narrative, one defined not by conflict but by reconciliation? At the sound of his encouragement, a man in the back spoke, his voice laden with skepticism. But what if we sow our seeds only to find them trampled underfoot? The past whispers of betrayal, and trust is a bird that has flown far from our shores. How do we nurture hope when darkness clouds our vision? The figure turned his thoughtful gaze toward the questioner, the depth of understanding rich in his eyes. Trust is like the dawn, it does not burst forth all at once, but rather creeps in slowly, a delicate unveiling. It begins with small acts, perhaps a smile shared, or a hand offered in friendship, carried out even when the heart feels reluctant. It requires a leap into uncertainty, a vulnerability that, though challenging, could chart a course back toward unity. In that moment, the air grew heavy with contemplation. A child, buoyed by the courage of the figure's words, took a step forward. But if we step out in faith and it leads us astray, what then is left for us but heartbreak? What if the world does not want to embrace the seeds we plant? His innocence echoed through the gathering, unraveling tears in the hearts of many. The figure knelt, lowering himself to the boy's level. "Ah, sweet child," he said softly, "even in the risk of heartbreak lies the potential for healing. Each attempt at reconciliation is a testament to the strength you possess. Remember, it is not the unfolding of the outcome that matters most, but the act of forgiveness and the willingness to engage. In your vulnerability lies power." As the crowd absorbed his words, the air crackled with an unseen energy, as if the heavens themselves were watching with anticipation. A woman, emboldened by the conversation, stood to speak. How do we unite our voices, when discord sings loudly in our surroundings? How do we trust each other, when the underlying fears keep us at a distance? A murmur of agreement rippled through the congregation once more. The figure raised his hand, urging silence. Fear is a formidable barrier, yes, but it is one you have the power to dismantle together. With every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, you chip away at its hold. As darkness has a hold over hearts, so can light rise to illuminate pathways forward. An elder raised his voice, slightly trembling but resolute. And what if, despite our efforts, divisions remain? What if our enemy refuses the hand we extend? What do we do then? The figure sighed, a deep melancholic breath. This journey of reconciliation may still lead you through valleys of shadows and divisions that seem insurmountable. Each of you may encounter hearts that refuse your kindness. It is painful, but you must not grow weary. Keep planting seeds of love and understanding. In time, even the coldest hearts can thaw. As night deepened into its full embrace, the stars shone brighter, echoing a silent promise of hope. Each person standing there felt the gravity of the figure's words, igniting a flicker of yearning to push through the uncertainty that clouded their vision, and as they stood together, contemplating the fragility of their shared dreams, a deeper question loomed in the stillness of the night. Are we prepared to face our deepest fears and vulnerabilities for the sake of a new future, or will we remain imprisoned by the very shadows we seek to escape? As dawn broke quietly over the horizon, a golden light spilled into the courtyard, illuminating the weary faces of those who had gathered the night before. The figure stood among them, a calm presence in the midst of their awakening, as if he had been waiting for this very moment, a moment of revelation and transformation. The air was thick with anticipation, each heart beating with the remnants of uncertainty but also a burgeoning hope. The previous night had been a crucible of questions, fears, and aspirations. Each individual felt the weight of history resting on their shoulders, their collective past embroidered with stories of conflict, betrayal, and longing for healing. But as the sun cast its radiant beams upon the gathering, something stirred within each soul, igniting a yearning for rebirth. Behold, the figure began, his voice resonating like the first light of dawn, the hands of time have turned, and a new chapter is ready to be penned. This is the moment of choice. Are you willing to rewrite your story together? His words hung in the air, an invitation wrapped in the fluttering wings of possibility. A hush fell over the crowd, each member holding their breath as they contemplated the magnitude of his question. Dreams and fears intertwined, like the morning mist clinging to the grass. Suddenly, a woman with tears glistening in her eyes stepped forward, her voice steadied by newfound resolve. What if the future is beyond our grasp? What if our attempts at reconciliation bring more pain instead of healing? Ah, dear sister, he responded gently, every journey toward healing comes swathed in uncertainty. It is true that the road may lead you through trials, but you must remember, even the most beautiful blooms must rise through the soil's darkness to finally understand the light. Each moment of struggle shapes not only your journey but also strengthens the bonds that will unite you. A young man, emboldened by her courage, echoed her concerns. But how do we hold on to this hope when so many have lost their way? When the scars of history mar our potential for unity? The figure smiled, his eyes sparkling with compassion. Look at the world around you. The trees grow from seeds that struggle against the very earth designed to confine them. Yet when nurtured by love, they touch the sky. Know this, your unity must be cultivated like a garden, where care and understanding guide each pluck of the weeds that threaten to overshadow the blooms. As he spoke, a palpable shift coursed through the assembly. The doubts that once felt insurmountable began to dissipate, replaced by a spirit of resilient courage. One by one, individuals felt flickers of warmth igniting within them, echoes of possibilities long thought extinguished. They glanced at one another, searching for connection in the depths of their souls, each realizing that they stood not as opponents but as companions on a shared journey. A quiet voice rose from among the crowd, a timid but powerful inquiry. What if we fail? What if our efforts to reach out are met with scorn or rejection? Will it not crush the hope we strive to kindle? The figure gazed at them with infinite understanding. To love is to embrace vulnerability. In the willingness to open oneself, even the possibility of failure becomes a seed of courage. Remember, you are not alone in your fear, all who gather crave acceptance. By facing scorn with love and establishing weakened bridges, you find the strength to guide each other through darkness and into light. Inspired by his words, hands began to grasp one another, forming connections that had once felt like fragile threads. Hearts resonated in unison, trembling yet daring to embrace the impossible quest for understanding. And in that moment of silent unity, every spectator became a participant in the act of being reborn. With the dawn fully blossomed in the sky, illuminating their newfound resolve, the figure raised his arms above them, inviting the culmination of their yearning. You have crossed a threshold, now rise as one, relinquishing the fear coursing through your veins, letting hope dictate your steps. The Spirit of the Divine calls to you, let it guide your journey. Embrace compassion, enact forgiveness even amidst resistance. Wear the armor of understanding and weave the fabric of new connections. Remember, my dear friends, every moment is an opportunity, a chance to reshape what has been for the greater good of what will be. Echoes of his words rippled through the crowd, metamorphosing into a powerful chorus of agreement. As sunlight poured over each individual, the winds of change swept through them, washing away remnants of doubt, fear, and conflict. In that sacred light, the gathering transformed, their resolve solidified, their spirits lifted. With hearts aligned, they turned to face each other, a tangible wave of relentless love flowing among them. Each pair of eyes reflected the light of hope, sealing an unspoken pact that spoke of commitment, resilience, and the audacity to reject division. As the sun reached its zenith, radiating warmth throughout the land, the figure regarded them with a sense of peace. In this moment, you have surrendered the burdens of your past. You are called into a future steeped in love. A sacred task awaits you, to be forged as instruments of unity in a world often ruled by strife. The choice to weave your destinies together starts here, and only through fearless love can you plant the seeds that will yield a harvest greater than you can imagine. As the gathering began their journey toward the horizon where the dawn met the twilight of yesterday, a revelation echoed within their spirits, that to love is a divine act, one that reshapes the course of history with each courageous heartbeat. United, they stepped forward, illuminated by hope and the promise that emerged from the shadows of their shared story, a story that became a cornerstone for generations to come. In the depths of their transformation lay a profound truth: when love is the guiding force, even ancient divides can be bridged, and from the very ashes of sorrow, a new narrative can emerge, a narrative of healing, connection, and transcending boundaries that were once deemed insurmountable. Beyond the horizon, they embraced their collective destiny, knowing they were never alone in their pursuit of peace. And in their hearts, they carried a fierce conviction they were architects of a brighter tomorrow, and in that promise, they found their ultimate revelation.